But then, conformity, the morning conformity was born from this entire concept. That not everyone's normal is universal, as in what's normal in one place is not normal in another. But there's common ground between cultures, and that's called foreign relations. And that's the funny part of it. So people miss that. That's where you get to find what's actually same and what's different, naturally versus artificially. So I just don't understand those kind of people. At least I try, but you can ask any voice actor, they can't usually speak the actual language. But you got idiots in the world where if you speak more than one language, they think it's a different personality. Apparently. If you're from more than one culture, they think it's a different personality at that point. I didn't understand. I didn't know these type of people existed, or rather, this type of thinking, of interpretability. It's like, shit. Which accent did you think was fake, other than a couple of it's vodka? If I spoke in a French accent, it would be fake. If I spoke in a Spanish accent, it would be fake, because I don't speak French or Spanish. Still waiting for anyone to add up the math there and get their head out of their own ass. Because that's obviously where it is. Just like you wouldn't believe it was tobacco even if I fucking blew it in your face. And then you would still think I was angry. And I'd be like, no, I was insulted. It's not the same little child interpretation of get out of here, adults are speaking. It's about where that's at. And that's my real life. Ex-affiliated bullshit. That's still walk the walk and talk the talk. You want professionalism? Guess where my professionalism is? International. It's where my professionalism is headed. It starts going in momente. And to have that treaded on top of my actual heart and fucking soul, actual motherfucking lived there, almost died there, almost got killed there, motherfucking worked there. New Orleans transplant ain't something you get self-titled. You don't get to go eat Popeye's chicken and thinking you're from New Orleans. And it either is or it isn't. If I relate better to Southern logic and it comes off the tip of my tongue that easily, and you're angry that that basically I'm dismantling what you thought I was doing. That's basically I'm just dismantling your psychosis. Get over it. Interpret that one. As I told you, static electrical bioconductivity is a real science. So it's like that kind of shit. These kind of people, I didn't even know that kind of interpretation existed. To continue. And I'd be like, no, what do you think when I say they? Shall I start, like, scratching the surface of how I'm being nice saying they at that point? Whatever type of culture they come from, they think like that, and I don't. So I can't relate to you. All I can do is dismantle your fucking masquerade of bullshit. Dishonesty of everywhere. That song, Smiling Faces, you think it's like where the chicken or the egg type argument of people is. When you don't realize I'm swatting a fly. Shows what you pay attention to. And that can be used as a psychological tool as well. Strategically. Your interpretability can then be used against you. Rather, like I keep trying to warn people, it's easier to just let you believe whatever you like, and then it's worse than lying to you. And I'm just leaving you all in your make believe version of interpretation. Pretty much on any subject matter at that point. I would highly suggest these type of individuals that think they know it all diversify their portfolios. It's the difference between cultural awareness versus diversification. And I already know where my cultural lines lay. That's why I get insulted when such things are spat on and whitewashed. Because you're going to get the kind of white you don't want to deal with. You know, I've still got a 6-ounce bag of tobacco. I'll be smashing anyone's face who wants to fuck with this. I will do another PR running around with a beer can full of water to fuck with y'all. Again. Only this time all I got is the tablets active, so kind of like really make it look, I'm fake ace drunk for you. Brutalize me now. Dick what? Conformity. Perception. Causality? Yeah, that's common sense. Critical thinking just, avoids these NPC masters effectively. I might as well be playing fake ass drug user again for you. I haven't smoked enough crack for none of this. I don't smoke crack anyway. I sure as hell had some people thinking so. And I might as well be taking credit for that. I made you think I was smoking drugs. It worked. There's some more psychological tactics for you. So I'm still just waiting for someone to get real. I mean, it's like here's another run through. Like, I know I'm not the only person on Earth that's multilingual. I had to deal with the bitch. And I know I'm not the only one dealing with these kind of bullshit. I just didn't realize it was so rampant, so this is my actual shock factor. Not a woe is me here. It's more like, oh my goodness, I didn't fucking know this kind of shit was that bad. Like, I'm going to dismantle their logic, you realize, or I'm just going to have to remove myself from their effluence and little circles of grapevines and just vanish. And see your trouble follow if they, which it did. I already did this. Even when I was a paying ass customer, someone was still profiling and misled. Hell, even that Kroger place. That's what it's like getting singled out. Even if you let it be water off a duck's back, go, whatever, motherfuckers. You'll get yours right back at you. Because generally, you can eat what you try to serve me. That's what is my response on that kind of level shit. I'll sit there and go switcheroo and make you think I'm stealing shit, even just to fucking find out if you were already spotting on me. Don't worry about it. I mean, shit. It was only a few years back some retards thought I was just talking to myself down the damn hallway. Because it's like a hallway and goes through that shopping center. Little pillars. Sound, the acoustics are kind of cool. I mess with them. And imagine, they just think I'm some crazy wing. I'm like, echo test, and I even sing a little song, fucking prove I'm literally trying to sound test the acoustics of an area. You know, eh, I guess logic and common sense is just not that rampant these days. because it's like the lower bracket percentage I'm running into in the world. Because every day, it ain't the same little universe most people live in their daily routines, right? You know what you basically do is you get up, you get from your box, you go into a box on wheels, and you go to another box and work in that box all day. Then you get back in your box with wheels, and then you drive all the way back to your home box, and you don't really have to deal with anyone outside of your. All you gotta do is work and pay bills and pay your taxes, right? Maybe take care of a couple of things at home, but effectively that's it. When you're out here, just trying to just get to a point where you can just do it all independently, get away from, the main populace, but still stay close relativistically. It's like even if I would be literally better on the road just trying to prospect land, heading to the northeast or something, or northwest rather. Dyslexic moment, got that backwards. Yeah, head like northwest, Dakotas or something. You know, I'd have at least a cabin. I could do it easier in the Midwest, but frankly, it's just land value goes up. Up there, I can prospect at least. If I recall correctly, I have to check the laws. But yeah, good morning, conformity to that. Even if I was trying to live off grid, the only thing I could do is basically live on a houseboat, uh, up and down rivers. And technically, this little river here does flow into the lakes, and that it is connected to the international waters to that degree. So, location, location, location. But, it doesn't matter even if I was in a little section of woods behind some damn store and being a paying customer and never asking for a damn thing. And someone spots me on that. And all it really takes is about 2-3 months to surrender the luxuries. And everyone's got this idea that you're living for free. Uh-uh. One animal rips into your food stock. It's hell, even in a RV situation, I'd still be having to deal halfway with their dang cat mess every morning. I just got the flies and their stink all under control. Again, speaking of daily reality routines. But anyway, so trying to find a place right now is basically more or less a FBI clearance report, and I'm trying to get the damn PDF to work. So there's another reality for you. And because if you try to do a credit check, it's not legit because it's not me. It's like, here, read this paper affidavit from the Federal Trade Commission, and you start to see what the hell is going on here. The problem was, I don't know how hard or easy it will be to dig back in the records to get the old Equifax or TransUnion report from 2016, because that's where the anomalies were confirmed in the first place. Not to mention how the Department of Treasury got paid off. There's like a reality all on its own. That was the fucking first priority to take care of since returning from Europe. And now I've got to deal with, two states that thought I was not supposed to be somewhere? What, does someone think my passport was fake? It was already went through all the protocols and procedures since Canada. 2013. And then Detroit after that. So, remind me exactly the jurisdictions and legalities of your claims when there's already predated things that were ignored and neglected on the record at this point. How many people would be misled on that without that crucial information that's already been verified by the government? Hence why I had all that damn paperwork. You see, there's a freak out reality there. That's a real one. It's like, shit, let's add that into the equation. Urban versus wilderness survival. One critter gets into your shit, you gotta deal with. Maybe one crazy ass human being might run into your camp. That's the worst. But anyway, do an urban level. Even if it's on the outskirts, you're gonna have to deal with the people that are on the outskirts that are more urban. They normally are a little bit more friendlier, but you also get the worst. So there's a little area range where you want to basically avoid, like, worst case scenarios. Like, you might as well fucking haunt the place and be that crazy person as a survival tactic to keep other people away at that point. But you can get away with it in some industrial areas and just fucking haunt the fucking place if crazy people been coming through. If it's old abandos, that hardcore and crazy people still be coming through. Yeah, but that's extended chords. I extremely paraphrase. Survival tactics. All right, so add in the street populace on that, right? So you got all your camping gear out there, or hell, even manage to build a little shanty that you manage to camouflage in an urban scape effectively. And all it literally takes is just one person finding out where it is. That's it. That's it. One extra set of feet going back and forth. One extra body at that point at all. It's done. Like, even if you're with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever, and you manage to make yourself a little shanty, cubby hole, whatever you want to call it, and you're going to have to still go one at a time effectively with a time gap. You can't go together. Especially if you're operating in plain sight. That's two bodies leaving a location. And that still gets more subconscious attention that will cause a person more or less to look that way instinctively. I can't stress that enough. And even if you're camping out in the woods, in the borderlands, cities, some cityscapes actually have some outer woods instead of going straight into farmland. And some lunatic finds your camp. What do you think is going to be, do or die? Now, if you manage to camo that bitch pretty good, or operate where you know that there's only a few vantage points where you know that you can only see the camp from here, here, or here. So now I can put something to block that view that's taking care of all of the line of sights going on. You know, like, tactics today isn't really, good morning conformity again. That's the background of being when you don't have a drug problem and you're just trying to mind your own damn business, save up so you can get a legitimate place. Or there's people in worse situations than mine that are literally stuck out there in between the paperwork altogether. Use an example. There's 6 cops deep that almost had me confused with a neighbor buddy. Now imagine if that scenario had happened anywhere else. You know how far my wallet was from me at that point? Luckily, the neighbors intervened, but run that anywhere else. So imagine that going on too. There's people have had to be on the run for like a quarter of their lives just because they got mistaken identity, and now it's down to trying to get like shit that they don't even know how to get. You know, as they're trying not to get, as they got trouble because of you start seeing why I became a foreign journalist like this and why it's so anonymous on that level. There's people who've had their shit stolen and used, and they've given up. You know, there's people that had worse than me. In other words, I can't stress that enough. But anyway, you find those people that are the most honest motherfuckers, but also the most deadly and the most, yeah. You will find those kind of people out there surviving. Diehards, bushwhacking, veterans, ex-heads usually even get away from all the motherfuckers it is. And they're pretty cool, solid people. When if you do run into people like that on that edge of basically civilization, that's what you run into. People that have hit the hardest times, or people who just said, fuck it, I'm living off grid. Which is basically why I'm just trying to find my own land. The whole idea was to sacrifice the luxury of a roof over my head so I could save up to get my own land and then effectively build my own house. So I nearly had, now it's down to just put a damn shed on a piece of land and rent to own everything. More good morning conformity to that. In fact, that's what I loved about Europe most, is that they have these zones that are basically deregulated or unregulated and completely open. Yeah, there's even programs where if you find ruins out there left over from the wars, yeah, you gotta have blood right though. So that was the opportunity I have over there, more than America, fortunately. Although I could do it here, but frankly, I was gonna do it there and then bring it here. In fact, that was the business plan. It was gonna be European based, but then I'd bring it over here to America with an American branch out here, doing R&D at least. Probably even manufacturing jobs in the end as well. Well, technically that would be maintenance, shipping, and receiving at that point, but still would need technicians, plus people who understand the technology in general, but it's very easy. Fucking flies. Get the fan going. At least they're all piling up here so I can open this door. Sorry to cut in the middle of it, but yeah. I'm like looking at my damn thing about more conformity, those aluminum cans, steel reserves. I looked up the price to get an aluminum tube. I might have mentioned it before. I think I'll stick with $1.71 and saving up those aluminum tubes so I can put water in them and put it next to my little hearth, home stove, home fire. That's what it means. It's not a World of Warcraft reference. It's a real world reference. Anyway, I swear that's why I'd like to. Must have ran into some rejects. My brain says. If I fucking have to just get ready to fucking have Krusty the Clown the shit and playing. My God. Here's the fucking ultimate reality check. Even with one of my last little music videos, I'm like, here's some music I even have to face. I've watched every place that had any meaning and all the quote unquote magic of this location basically get bulldozed or set on fire, and or both. So I'm already looking at what's left, a bunch of empty lots, not even ruins at that point. Of course, the old Tana building's still there. That's too bad, Speaking of which, over there on Ljubljana, there was a whole anarchist alternative group. Well, not anarchists, not all of them were anarchists, but basically what we Americans would have seen like as an anarchist shop, like, almost, but anonymous. It's not like organized too much. But they knew what they were doing. Everyone was tasked, so they were organized. In fact, these guys were very organized. They'd been squatters' rights up the wazoo at that point. There for like 10 years, if not more. You know, some of them longer than that, but yeah. So they had everything going. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is what I was already, you know. Then the city there, and not just the city. Well, here's how it works over there. The one of the parties, not parties as in drugs, as parties as in politics. One of their, uh, basically, it was the fascists, the conformists, that wanted to snuff out this alternative culture, subculture, effectively, that was doing all their own things, self-efficient, hell, even able to open up their doors to the public. Hell, I think they even got their fucking liquor license in the end too. Well, they had rooms decked out for tennis, martial arts, dancing. They had fucking stages for musicians and bands and live music. They just didn't quite have the bookstore, although they had some books. They didn't have, and that's kind of the remnants of what it was what was left. Their power system used to be all old battery powered with a couple of different things going on. Frog was something else. Rog. And meanwhile, I got half Ponzi schemed into being able to take care of these bikes, and there was a miscommunication, blah blah blah. Even though I told everyone that they're not for sale, you have to run it by the guy who owns them. Da da da. And I got mixed messages from at that point. He's like, sometimes it's okay, other times not. Da 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 da. Is that what you called me all the way the fuck down here for? Da 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 da. I'm like, yeah. What do you want to do? The operating hours on a sign or something? It was like something he was doing something. If I have to start thinking for someone on for the agreement that was supposed to already be occurring, no offense to the guy. I mean, a lot of miscommunications. So, but there's got to be a disconnect. In other words, is the best way to translate. It's like there's a disconnect here somewhere. So, to move, to continue, uh, too many disconnects led to ultimately, complete communication breakdown, and that effectively is. And my shit got locked in there, and I had to go a back way that and go back around 3 different ways. I got his key back, even, but he still hated the fact that I managed to get in there. I'm like, I don't do that often, but my shit was in there, and that I had documentation from their government and the U.S. government in that backpack. Guess what kind of authority I have to go get my shit with? All of it is the answer. Um, so, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. I'm going to get my shit without having to break and entering. Because there was a back section of this factory they had not retrofitted. It's all still rubble, effectively. And it's like a maintenance access. And that's exactly what it was. All it had was a bungee cord holding the door shut. That was it. Not fucking breaking into anything. And it was his key in there, and I already told him it fucking locked it in there by accident. He was pissed. He was like, "You owe me a new lock, and I have to buy bolt cutters now." Da 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 da. I think he just want. And I'm like, "I'll get the damn keys." He's like, "No, you won't." Da 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 da. I'm like, "Watch me." I think that's why the guy kind of didn't like me. I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of fucking mixed signals. So why speculate? Anyway, not to digress on the subject matter. So I got in there, the pain in the ass, and one buddy helped me all the way through the process. He's like, "All right, I'm not going. That's he was actually French, man. So eh, I can at least be like, yeah, that's the sound of his voice. He's like, I'm not going that far. Anyway, to be genuinely sincere and quote the guy. But yeah, so and I got the key, got my backpack and the documents back, and unlocked the door. And he was just furious, like was leading up to. I was like, man, I don't know what the disconnect was. Anyway, so yeah, that's the long story short. Like that's basically what I was thinking with this Tana thing. Only guess what? I'm not gonna be a crazy ass fucking call that what you will, but I do it my way. And I even tried to do that at spot behind Spotter, in an old nail factory that was left in total ruins. Me and a buddy moved shit that they were cleaning out a warehouse. I think it was like construction uh, distribution warehouse where they were like even had the model units, like the display pieces. They were throwing out two of everything. So everything was going out. Giant pallets galore, panels. Drag those back, reframe it. The only thing we were about to do was about to start slapping some concrete on the walls and the ceiling so the damn thing don't fall. you know, Sometimes during that rainstorm, I'm like, you know what? I wonder if when it gets that much water, if we don't do something about this, if that son of a bit. And sure enough, there was a few places under just one of the squares that, yes, it was definitely accelerating decay. In fact, it seemed to be, it's where a tree was growing up on top, actually, on the second story. Yeah. So, if we would have had to put a pillar in the middle, we would have had to re-concrete this shit, completely reinforce that. Plus, add proper drainage for the tree up there. See, my hybrid idea is is it start to paint a picture of what I was thinking. But anyway, so imagine trying to find that location I was doing on my own land and just doing something cool. Something like that, even, where I literally use a tree as part of the building altogether. And start, some alternative building styles. But I've already an overkill on the Good Morning Conformity here, so I'm gonna wrap it up on the good and bad and the positive note of it all. So shit. One of these days. The dojo was the best. Unfortunately, I didn't post all the videos there because I was trying to keep the location a bit of a secret. Yeah, go figure.